The Desert Research Station looked like nothing special from the outside. Just a cluster of white buildings sitting on endless brown sand, with giant satellite dishes pointing at the empty sky. Inside, Day One Park was bored. He had been watching screens for hours, tracking nothing but sand and more sand. The research station was located in a remote part of the Gobi Desert. Most people thought the team was crazy for spending their days studying camels and desert survival. Who cared about camels anymore? The world had moved on to space exploration and high-tech cities. But Day One and his team believed that understanding survival in extreme conditions was important. Day One's fingers moved slowly across the computer keyboard. He was updating research logs about camel behavior and water conservation. The camels outside were special. Not normal farm animals, but carefully bred research subjects that could survive in conditions that would kill most living things. Suddenly, a red light started blinking on his main screen. At first, Day One thought it was another system error. The research station's equipment was old and often gave false warnings. But this time, something felt different. The blinking was steady and strong, not like the random glitches he was used to seeing. He zoomed in on the long-range scanner. Something massive was approaching. Something that definitely was not supposed to be there. "Ji-hoon," he called out to his colleague. "Come look at this." Ji-hoon Kim walked over, his tall frame blocking the light from the window. He looked at the screen, then back at Day One. "That can't be real," he said quietly. The object on the screen was huge. It didn't move like any spacecraft humans had ever built. Its shape was strange. Not round, not square, but something in between that hurt your eyes if you looked at it too long. It seemed to shift and change even as they watched. Outside, the camels started making noise. Loud, angry sounds that were not their usual calm grunts. Something was wrong. Day One's hands were shaking as he adjusted the scanner. The object was getting closer. Fast. "We need to call headquarters," Ji-hoon said. But before he could reach the communication system, the screen went white, then black, then completely dead. The lights in the research station flickered. Something was happening. The camels were screaming now. Not the usual camel sounds, but real screams that sounded almost human. Their sounds echoed across the empty desert, a warning that something big was coming. Day One and Ji-hoon looked at each other. They knew, without saying a word, that everything was about to change. The first alien ship appeared overhead, blocking out the sun. Its shadow was so large that it covered the entire research station in darkness. No communication came. No warning. Just sudden, complete silence. The first alien war had begun. And it would start in the most unexpected place. A small research station in the middle of the Gobi Desert, with a team of scientists and their strange, special camels as the first line of defense. Day One Park took a deep breath. Whatever was going to happen next, they would face it together. The world changed in less than 24 hours. Ho Park watched the news feeds with a sick feeling in his stomach. Major cities were falling like dominoes. Tokyo, London, New York, Cairo. Each report was shorter and more desperate than the last. The aliens, now known as the Krell, didn't fight like any enemy humans had ever seen before. They didn't drop bombs. They didn't send ground troops. Instead, they used something worse. Technology that looked like magic. Entire city blocks would simply disappear. Not destroyed. Not blown up. Just gone. As if someone had erased them from existence. Communication networks crashed. Power grids died. Satellites dropped from the sky like metal rain. At the Emergency Research Center, Ho worked with a team of scientists and military experts. They were trying to understand how the Krell attacked, but understanding seemed impossible. "Their technology doesn't make sense," whispered Yoona Lee, leaning over a pile of scrambled data readings. Her fingers moved quickly across multiple screens, trying to make sense of something that defied logic. The military had tried everything. Missiles, advanced fighter jets, cyber attacks. Nothing worked. The Krell's shields absorbed everything. Their weapons passed through human defenses like they were made of smoke. Outside the research center, the world was changing. People ran in the streets. Some tried to escape. Some fought. Most just tried to survive. Sung-ho remembered the desert research team. Daewon, Ji-hoon. They had been studying camels when the invasion started. At first, it seemed like the most useless research in the world. Now something told him it might be their only hope. He pulled up their research files. Pages and pages of data about camel biology, how they survived extreme heat, how they could go weeks without water, how their bodies could adapt to conditions that would kill most living things. "We're looking at this wrong," Sung-ho said suddenly. Yuna looked up. "What do you mean?" "We're trying to fight the Krell with human technology," he explained. "But what if we need to think differently? What if we need to be more adaptable?" The research center was a maze of computers, screens, and worried people. Military commanders argued with scientists. Nobody seemed to have a plan. Nobody except Sung-ho. He started pulling up more files. Camel genetic research, neural interface studies, experimental adaptation technologies that had been considered too weird, too crazy to ever be used. Until now. The Krell had destroyed most of human civilization in less than a day. They had weapons that could erase cities. They had technology beyond human understanding. But they didn't know everything. "We need to call the desert team," Sung-ho told Yuna. "Right now." But communication networks were down. Most satellites were destroyed. Getting a message to Daewon and Ji-hoon would be nearly impossible. Outside, another city disappeared. Humanity was running out of time. Sung-ho looked at the camel research files. Something was forming in his mind. A crazy plan. A plan so strange that it might just work. The first alien war was just beginning, and humanity's first real weapon might not be a missile or a tank. It might be a camel. The desert research station was quiet. Too quiet. Ji-hoon Kim checked the camels. They were different now. Something had changed during the alien attack. Their eyes looked smarter, more aware. It was like they knew something big was happening. "We need to move," Daewon said, packing equipment. The alien ship had left, but they both knew it would come back. Nothing was safe anymore. The camels watched them. Not like normal animals. These camels looked like they were thinking. Yuna's message came through on a small emergency radio. It was broken and hard to hear, but the important parts came through clear. The world was under attack. Humans were losing. And the camel research might be the only hope. "Neural interface," Ji-hoon muttered, looking at their research notes. They had been working on connecting animal brains to computer systems. It was just a crazy experiment before. Now it might save everything. The first camel stepped forward. His name was Brave. At least, that's what Ji-hoon had called him. Brave was different from other camels. Smarter. Stronger. During their experiments, Brave had shown signs of understanding complex commands. Daewon pulled out a small device. It looked like a computer chip, but smaller. Much smaller. "This might work," he said. The chip was designed to connect animal brains to computer systems. They had tested it on Brave before. Back then, it was just science. Now, it might be humanity's last chance. Brave walked closer. He didn't move like a normal camel. His steps were careful, measured, almost like a soldier. "We're going to try something," Daewon told the camel. Brave just looked at him. Those eyes were too intelligent. The neural interface was small. Daewon carefully placed it behind Brave's ear. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the camel's eyes changed. Screens in the research station came to life. Data started flowing. Maps. Alien ship locations. Communication patterns. It was like Brave could see things humans couldn't. Ji-hoon watched in shock. How is this possible? The camel, no, the living computer, just looked back at them. Outside, the desert was changing. The sand seemed to move differently. The wind carried strange sounds. Something was coming. More camels gathered around Brave. They moved together, not like animals, like a team. Yuna's last radio message played again. "Adapt or die," she had said. "The camels might be our only chance." Daewon checked their supplies. Water, food, experimental weapons, communication devices. They were going to do something crazy. They were going to fight back. Brave made a sound, not a camel noise, something between a computer beep and an animal grunt. The other camels responded. The first alien war had a new weapon, and it wasn't human. It was a camel. The desert became a war zone. 10 camels moved across the sand. They didn't look like normal animals anymore. Each camel carried special equipment. Computers, weapons, communication devices. They moved like a team. One group, one mind. Brave led them. The first camel with a full neural interface. Behind him, Daewon and Jihoon watched and guided. The Krell didn't expect this. They thought humans were weak. They thought camels were just animals. They were wrong. Their first attack came quickly. A small Krell scout ship appeared over the desert. It was big, powerful, the kind of ship that had destroyed entire cities before. Brave made a sound, not a camel noise, something between a computer beep and a war cry. The camels spread out. They moved like water, fast, smooth, impossible to hit. The Krell ship fired, but these weren't normal targets. The camels dodged. Each movement was perfect, calculated, like they could see the laser beams before they happened. Jihoon watched the screen. Data rolled by. The camels were sharing information faster than any human computer. They saw everything. They knew everything. "Target locked," Daewon said quietly. One of the camels, named Storm, carried a special weapon. It wasn't a normal gun. It was something they had built using parts from the research station, parts the Krell would never understand. Storm fired. The laser hit the Krell ship exactly where it was weakest, not by chance, by perfect calculation. The ship started to fall, but this was just the beginning. More Krell ships would come. They always did. Brave turned to Daewon. His eyes were different now. Part camel, part computer, part something new. "We're ready," the camel seemed to say, not with words, but with a look. Yuna had been right. Adapt or die. The camels had adapted. The desert sand moved around them. Sometimes it looked like the camels disappeared. Sometimes it looked like they were part of the sand itself. Another Krell ship appeared. The camels were waiting. Sung-Ho's voice came through the radio. "First test is successful," he said. "Keep moving. Stay hidden." But they weren't really hiding. They were hunting. The Krell thought they were the predators. They were wrong. The camels were the real hunters now. One by one, the Krell ships started to fall. Not by luck, by strategy, by something the aliens could not understand. Adaptation. The first alien war had a new rule. The camels made the rules now, and they were just getting started. The Krell didn't understand pain. They didn't understand fear, but they were about to learn. Sung-Ho watched the first battle reports. The camels had done more than just fight. They had confused the alien technology completely. Each camel was now more than an animal. They were living weapons. In the research center, Yuna worked nonstop. Computer screens showed strange data. Camel brain patterns mixed with computer signals. It looked like magic, but it was science. "We're changing everything," she told herself. The camels were spreading, not just in the desert. They were being transported to different parts of the world. Each group had a mission. Each group was different. Brave's team continued to move through the desert. They weren't just fighting. They were learning. Every time a Krell ship fell, the camels understood more. Communication was strange now. The camels didn't use words. They shared information like computer files. Fast, Perfect. No mistakes. A new Krell ship appeared, bigger than the others. This one was different. Brave stopped. Something was wrong. The other camels froze. They could feel it too. Daewon checked the screens. Something's different, he said to Jihoon. The new Krell ship didn't attack. It just watched, like it was studying them. Brave made a sound. Half computer beep, half warning cry. The sand around them started to move. Not like normal sand. Something was happening. Jihoon saw it first. The sand was changing color. From brown to silver, then to a strange blue. This isn't normal, he whispered. The Krell ship opened, but nothing came out. Instead, information started to flow. Not like normal signals. Something different. The camels were blocking most of it. Their neural interfaces were working like shields. Sung-ho's voice came through the radio. Be careful, he said. They're trying something new. Brave moved forward. One step, then another. The other camels followed. Each movement was perfect. Calculated. Something was happening to the sand. It started to move. Not like sand should move, more like a living thing. The Krell were changing the battlefield. But the camels were ready. Brave's eyes glowed. Part camel, part computer, part something new. The first wave of alien sand machines came. The camels waited. This was going to be different. This was going to be war. The first alien war was about to get very strange. And the camels were ready. The world was changing. Fast. More research stations were getting camels. Not normal camels, special camels. The ones with computer brains. The ones that could fight aliens. In Africa, a team of camels stopped a Krell attack on a big water dam. In Australia, another group saved a whole city. The camels were everywhere now. Daewon received a message from Sung-ho. We're making more, the message said. More enhanced camels. More living weapons. Brave's team wasn't alone anymore. The neural interface was spreading. Scientists worked day and night. They were doing something impossible. They were turning animals into soldiers. Yuna had discovered something strange. The camels were changing. Not just with technology. Something in their DNA was different. They were becoming something new. A camel named Thunder could now predict Krell attacks before they happened. Another called Shadow could make herself almost invisible in the desert. The Krell didn't understand. Humans were supposed to be weak. Humans were supposed to die quickly. But humans were doing something the Krell never expected. They were adapting. Jihoon watched the new training center. Camels moved like soldiers. They worked together. They fought together. Each camel was smart, but together, they were something more. We're creating a new kind of army, Sung-ho told the military leaders. The military leaders looked scared, but they also looked hopeful. Brave's team continued to fight in the desert. They had destroyed more Krell ships now. Each battle made them stronger. Each battle taught them more. The Krell started to change their attacks. They tried new weapons, weird machines that could turn sand into something like liquid metal. They tried to make the battlefield impossible, but the camels adapted. One camel named Lightning could now change her body temperature. She could walk through areas that would kill a normal animal. She could survive anywhere. The research was moving fast. Too fast. Yuna found something in the camel DNA. Something strange. The neural interfaces were changing the camels, making them more than animals, more than machines, a new kind of life. More research stations got the new camels. South America, Europe, Asia, everywhere. The camels learned fast. They shared information faster than any computer. They worked together like one big brain. The Krell didn't know what to do. Humans were supposed to be easy to beat. Humans were supposed to die quickly. But these camels were something else. They were becoming something new. Brave looked at the desert. More Krell ships were coming. He wasn't afraid. The first alien war was changing. and the camels were in control now. The Gobi Desert became the biggest battleground. Brave's team stood ready. Behind them, 50 more enhanced camels waited. Each one was different. Each one was special. They were no longer just animals. They were warriors. The Krell fleet appeared. Huge ships blocked out the sun. Millions of alien weapons pointed down. They thought they would win easily. They were wrong. Sung Ho watched from the command center. Yuna stood next to him. Her hands moved quickly across computer screens. "They're coming," she said quietly. The first wave of Krell attacks started. Laser beams cut through the air. The ground began to change. Sand turned to metal. Rocks became liquid. But the camels were ready. Brave moved first. His neural interface glowed. Information flew between the camels faster than any human computer could work. They were one mind, one team. A camel named Storm carried a special weapon. It wasn't like normal human guns. It was something new, something the Krell would never understand. Storm fired. The laser hit a Krell ship exactly where it was weakest, not by chance, by perfect calculation. The ship fell, then another, and another. Daewon watched the battle. Jihoon checked the data. Everything was working perfectly. The camels moved like water. They changed. They adapted. When the ground turned to metal, they found a way to move. When lasers tried to hit them, they disappeared. The Krell didn't understand. More ships came, millions of them. The sky turned dark with alien technology. But the camels kept fighting. Lightning, another enhanced camel, could now change her body. She could become almost invisible. She could survive in temperatures that would kill anything else. Thunder could predict alien attacks before they happened. Shadow could move through the changing battlefield like a ghost. The Krell tried everything. They changed the desert. They turned sand to metal. They made the ground impossible to walk on. The camels kept fighting. Sung Ho watched the battle data. "They're doing it," he said to Yuna. "They're actually winning." The camels were more than animals now. They were something new. Part machine, part living thing, part something nobody could understand. Brave looked up at the alien ships. He wasn't afraid. The first alien war had changed. Humans were no longer just defending. They were attacking. And the camels were leading the way. More ships fell. The desert became a graveyard of alien technology. The Krell started to worry. For the first time, they felt something close to fear. The camels kept fighting. And they were just getting started. The Krell were breaking. Their ships fell from the sky like broken toys. Millions of years of alien technology crumbled. And it was all happening because of camels. Brave stood on a hill of metal and sand. Behind him, the surviving camels watched. They were different now. Not animals, not machines, something new. Sung Ho couldn't believe what he was seeing. "They're destroying the entire Krell fleet," he told Yuna. His voice was quiet, shocked. The Krell didn't understand what was happening. Their perfect technology, their advanced weapons, all destroyed by creatures they thought were simple animals. Daewon watched the battle from the research center. Screens showed everything. The camels moved like one big brain. They shared information faster than any computer. They worked together in ways no one had ever seen before. A camel named Lightning could now change her entire body. She could become invisible. She could survive in space. She could do things that were impossible. Thunder could see the future. Not all of it, but enough to stop alien attacks before they happened. The Krell tried everything. They changed the battlefield. They tried new weapons. They tried to fight back. Nothing worked. Yuna discovered something strange in the camel DNA. The neural interfaces were doing more than just connecting computers to brains. They were changing the camels completely. "We created something new," she told Sung Ho. "Something that isn't human, isn't animal, isn't machine." The camels kept fighting. More Krell ships fell. The desert became a graveyard of alien technology. Millions of years of alien development destroyed by creatures from Earth. Brave looked up at the sky. More ships were coming. But he wasn't worried. The camels were ready. Jihoon watched the data. Every battle made the camels stronger. Every fight taught them more. They were learning faster than any computer could learn. The Krell communication systems started to break. The aliens couldn't understand what was happening. How could these simple Earth creatures beat them? More research stations got the new camels. Africa, Australia, South America, everywhere. The camels were changing the war. Somho received messages from around the world. Every team of camels was winning. Every battle was a victory. The Krell were losing. Brave made a sound. Part camel cry, part computer signal. The other camels responded. They were more than an army now. They were something new. The first alien war was ending, and the camels were winning. 1 year after the war, the world was different now. Not just because humans won, but because of what they had created. Brave stood on a hill. He wasn't just a camel anymore. None of them were. Sungho looked at the memorial. It was simple. Just a stone marker in the Gobi Desert. The words were clear. The CAMELS DID Skuriemeng Aorinenemi. Yuna continued her research. The camels were still changing. Still growing. They were something between living things and machines. Something nobody could fully understand. The last Krell ships had been destroyed months ago. But the camels remained. They were more than weapons now. They were protectors. Daewon watched a group of enhanced camels training. They moved like soldiers. They thought like computers. They felt like something alive. We saved humanity, Jihoon said quietly. But we created something new. The camels could now do impossible things. They could communicate without words. They could survive in places no living thing could survive. They could think faster than any computer. Lightning could change her entire body. She could become invisible. She could survive in space. Thunder could see possible futures. Not all of them, but enough to protect people. The research stations had changed. They were no longer just science centers. They were something else. Places where humans and enhanced camels worked together. Children now learned about the first alien war in school. They learned how camels saved the world. How a small research project in a desert became humanity's greatest weapon. Brave looked at the other camels. They were a family now. Not like normal animal families. Something different. Something new. Sungho approached Brave. The camel looked at him. They understood each other without words. "We're not done," Sungho said. The camel made a sound. Part computer beep, part living signal. More research was happening. More discoveries. The camels were still changing. Still growing. Yuna's latest research showed something strange. The camels were developing abilities nobody could explain. They were becoming something beyond human understanding. The Krell were gone. But something new was here. Humans had changed. Camels had changed. The world had changed. Brave looked at the desert. More challenges would come. They would be ready. The memorial stone stood simple and strong. The CAMELSDID Skuriemeng Aorinenemi. A reminder of how the world was saved. And how everything was different now. The first alien war was over. But something new was just beginning.